says, Mike, it's not that Push never gave us a glimpse into his mind. Let's be for real. Push gave us an average double entendres and a quick short verses. What was his best verse on It's Almost Dry?
Mm.
Can we say off the top, like, yo, he killed it on that? Because the one verse that we keep highlighting is the Malice verse.
I think the Malice verse is the best verse on the album, but that's some of that. This is what I mean. Hip hop, well, the impact matters. So bring her up again. Lauren Hill on Nobody, that impact is so heavy. It's like, when the last time you heard Lauren rap? It's like, oh shit. You ain't heard Malice, no Malice in a minute. You know what I'm saying? Right. So
It's an
there's an
effect.
impact
Yeah.
effect that comes with the verse is great, but the impact matters. Even in
Um,
the verse.
I see second verse of Open Air.
I could see that. I could see that. Oh, you want to know? I like open air. No. Herbert's not better than It's Almost Dry.
Mm-hmm.
Call my 1-800 call my bluff in open air. Yeah, no, I'm gonna give it to It's Almost
I
Dry.
see another second verse on Open Air. Okay.
Okay.
Speaking of that album, what were you gonna say, Coop? I don't want to throw us all the way off, but I wanted to kind of roll along.
Oh no, I would just say, what would you rate this album though?
I mean, I think we need to do further listen. I mean, we don't have a whole lot of time left in the year, but I mean, it sounds like a solid four off top, and I know people are gonna be like another four, but I'm gonna have to put it. What did we give It's Almost Dry? Let's
I
judge
feel
it by
like we
that
gave
barometer.
that a 4. Hold on, as a matter of fact, hold on. I'll tell you exactly what we
Okay.
gave it. Give me 1 second.
Ray Realm says, haven't heard a peep out of Nas haters lately. Did you see Jigga's title playlist? KD3 in heavy
Run
rotation. God's influence guides in the upper realm.
4. We gave Till It's Almost Dry a 4. And so that's why I was saying, even when you said 4, I was like, ooh, I was like, I don't know if this is a 4 based on how we kind of like molded the system now that we're auditing the year. Because think about it. Okay, so we have Brambleton, Let the Smoker Shine the Coop, Diet Coke, Neck and Wrist, I'll Pray for You, Open Air, 1-800 Call My Bluff. What seven Ab Soul Records is like? You get what I'm saying?
Right,
And
right.
so, like, I don't know if it's a 4. And I think the way that we're looking, maybe, I
Yeah,
don't know.
maybe 3.9, 4-ish or
Right.
something like that.
Because I'm not certain that it's better than the Ransom. Because my first intuition is to say no, that it's
I
not
don't
better
think
than the
it is
Ransom.
either. I mean, Ransom, I think it didn't feel like he ran too long. His
Right.
bar work was crazy, and so was Abs. But I
Yeah.
think if I had to pick between the two, I would pick
I'd
his
probably
bar
take
work.
Yeah, I'd probably take Ransom too.
Yeah,
So I would tentatively say I'd say a 3.9 and maybe slot it in that 12 to 15 slot in terms of its album of the year potential.
and that's
Or
crazy
maybe
because it's just been such a great year.
you want to know it? It's a great litmus test album that he put together a very good project like this late in the year because it gives us stuff to bounce back off of. Like, I love hearing a project that's good enough to say, it's like, well, hey, does it deserve to be in our top 20 and where? Because then we can start kind of parsing it out. Because we still haven't changed the fact that it's like, well, we literally have our top 11 worked out. So maybe next week on Wednesday, we'll maybe work on 11 to 20.
I think that's a very plausible thing. We just got some really good music today, and we had some good discussions anyway. Like even with the Kendrick discussion and all that. I mean, I think these are necessary talks that we got to have with the hip hop consensus. Did you see? Speaking of top albums of the year, did you see Rolling Stone's top? What was it? 2025 rap albums?
No.
Okay, well,
I heard that Till It's Almost Dry came in at number 1 and King's Disease 3 came in at number 2.
yeah, It's Almost Dry was number one. And yeah, King's Disease 2, I'm sorry, King's Disease 3 was at 2, and people were blowing up our inbox with the
Because
image
they
that I
did the
have
wrong
here on
cover.
the screen. They put
Yeah.
the KD1 cover as the cover. And somebody brought up a really good point. They put it at number 2 and didn't even rate the album. They didn't review the album, rather.
They knew better.
I found that really interesting for an album that, I mean, you're a publication, right? And, reviews is what you do. how do you rate an album so high but didn't even do a review on it? Are people shook to do Nas album reviews at this point? Has the fan base gotten the publications, the major publications, who be on that bullshit clearly, and who have been called out for their bullshit? Are they shook to even write a review?
It appears so, and good. But here's what I'll submit to you, and this is what I mean. And I'm very, very serious when I say this. Should maybe amicably reach out to these hip hop publications that, quite frankly, don't what I feel like have core foundational credible hip hop journalism going on, and offer to help them because, quite frankly, in yourself, myself, and Denim, we have 3 writers that we could submit to them to be like, well, we'll help you since you're kind of like, struggling and shit. We can help. We can help. You can call Coop. I'm here.
I don't think they want the help. I don't think that
They need
that's
they
the
need
problem.
The help.
I don't think that's the problem. I think
they
that they
help.
could
Need a lot of help. They need the help.
They understand what's going on. And
no, they don't.
They do, because if they didn't understand what was going on, this wouldn't be at number 2. And
no,
you
they
know
understand that. They understand that they need to shut the fuck up because this album is so good and they can't do their normal slander. And so they're just going to try to bypass it. But they still need our help.
I think that
we need Jesus too, but that's another discussion.
Well, this is the thing, though, Coop. I don't think that. Do you think they truly listen to It's Almost Dry and listen to KD3 and said It's Almost Dry is the better album? Because I don't think that there's any way that anybody with ears, even if you're not a hip hop listener like that, could listen. And I say this respectfully, could listen to KD3 and It's Almost Dry and say that It's Almost Dry is the better album.
So Rolling Stone needs what I call like their old school. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Mike. Go ahead.
No, what I was just gonna say though, if you take out the MCs, KD3 is a much better produced album alone. We're taking Nas and Pusha out of this. Like, let's pull the MCs out of the album, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
KD3 is a much better produced album. And shout out to Hit Boy for that. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's the best produced album that I've heard from him. And that's saying a lot over his illustrious career, right? Then you add the MCs in there. You look at the range of, subject matter, range of flows, range of concepts. It's Almost Dry doesn't give you that, right? It doesn't. I think Brambleton is probably the shining moment on that album from a lyrical standpoint because he takes you there, right? Nas does that on damn near every record on that album, right?
Well, here's how you should look at it when things are close, or at least this is how maybe I try to look at it when things are close, musically sometimes. Well, Brambleton and Let the Smoker Shine and Coop the best songs on Till It's Almost Dry.
I think the best song on It's Almost Dry is Diet Coke. And I think that what happened with this album, the best songs, or some of the best songs, got put out way too early. I think that putting Hear Me Clearly on Nico's album was a huge mistake and useless. You know what I mean? Like, that didn't help anybody. No one cares about this Nico album. And I say that respectfully, he's not an artist. You know what I mean? If Pusha had an album coming so close to that, one or two things should have happened. He should have just kept the song for itself or just not had the song on his album at all. You know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't have been on both efforts. And like I said, and I'm not going to be a hypocrite here. Like I said about the Kendrick thing, even though the Kendrick thing happened after the fact with the Heart Part 5, the fact that we even saw Hear Me Clearly on the track list, you and I were like, oh, that's not a good sign.
This is the first thing we talked about. When we saw the track list, we were like, oh, I don't like that.
Yeah, because this song was just on an album that came out 2 weeks before that.
Well, here's what I would tell you and submit to you. So let's say we take Diet Coke like you let's say Diet Coke's the best song Until It's Almost Dry.
Right.
Where does that song rank on KD3? You feel me?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's not a conversation, because I'm like, oh, that's not a top 5 record on KD3, not even close. Is it better than Get Light? Legit? Thun? Mike and Quincy? WTF SMH? Reminisce?
I think it's the only song, in my opinion, on the album that could actually compete with those songs, though, where there could be a
Right. So
discussion.
we
Because if we start going down the line with the other stuff, it's not even really a discussion.
it's not, and I'm so, and this is what I mean. So I'm glad you got to finish your thought because that was actually important. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
No, you
Let me
good.
piggyback. Let me piggyback a little bit because it kind of translates to my thought. Well, Rolling Stone is still old school journalism, so they need taglines and headlines. And so, headline: rap album produced by Kanye and Pharrell. You feel me? Like that's the thing that they do. That's why it's like when you're saying they don't want our help, it's like, but you need our help because you do stuff like that and put the albums at number one because of that headline, old school journalistic name brand recognition, instead of just giving the just artists their due. So
And I think for me, and we talked about this too, the fact that Nas took on this album, 17 tracks, for Dolo as an MC, it's not even really comparable. That it's almost dry. It's not even comparable to KD3 when you talk about the MC work. Like I said, take the MCs out of it. From a production standpoint, KD3 is the superior album. It's way better produced than It's Almost Dry. And I don't even think that's close. But
it's
then
not
you
even.
throw the MC in there and the way that Nas is rapping on there, and then he did it 17 tracks with no help, and you got all kind of people on It's Almost Dry. It's not even close from that standpoint.
I mean, now, Mike, you know who my second favorite guy is? We talking about my second
I
favorite guy,
love Pusha T. We share a
and
birthday, man. That's my guy.
y'all share a birthday. He's my favorite MC post what I would call Nas's first prime. Notice how I have to say Nas's first prime now. Pusha T's been my favorite MC post Nas's first prime, but it's not a conversation.
Nah, it's not. And you know how I feel about Daytona. I love Daytona.
I
I,
think you may live. I think you're one of the few people that loves Daytona more than me, so I get it.
I love Daytona. Daytona's
You
incredible.
do. You really, really do. Pull out the vinyl right quick for him,
I
Mike.
got it right here, man. I have to get up.
Told you I don't like that picture. I don't like what they did with
I
Lil
don't like
Dad.
the picture either, but yeah, I'll pull out the vinyl before we get off the show. But yeah, man, I love Daytona, and I know who Pusha can be on the mic, and as a songmaker, he wasn't that on this album. And
And he's just and he's and even and although I love him, he's never been Nas on the mic because the top 10
we've talked
MC.
about
Look,
this on
look,
this
somebody with
show.
top 10 capabilities, somebody with the greatest of MC all time capabilities. No, there is a difference. There's a difference.
It's yeah. I mean, there's very few
But push,
people that are
but
LeBron,
Push is
right?
very Jadakiss like in a sense. It's like no, he can get on a record and give somebody like Nas or Jay the business. He ain't like no slouch.
Yeah,
But the
no.
way this nigga Nas rapping right now, I'm like the way this nigga rapping right
The
now,
different flows, the different
it's not a
cadences,
conversation.
the concepts, the creativity. It's not even you can't listen to those two albums and say, you know what, man, I'm really torn here. It's almost drives the better out. No, you can't. You can't. So I feel like the pressure that first of all, it's clearly pressure on a publication like a Rolling Stone who has dissed Nas in the past, even in this KD series.
Yes.
They were feeling the pressure. They didn't even want to write a review because they knew their options were we don't write a review, or if we write a review, we trash it or find some cheap shots to throw in there and we lose even more credibility. So we'll just not write a review. They didn't even have an option of actually writing a real credible review. That's why I was saying they don't want our help. You know what I mean? Like the
Oh, they don't want
option,
to be credible.
yeah.
Okay, got it. Got it.
Yeah, they rather just not write a review than actually go out there and be honest about a Nas effort for whatever reason. So, what they do is they go out there and make the album number 2 and put the wrong album cover up there and not do the right thing by, putting it number 1. How can you have an album ranked so high that you didn't even bother to review? You know what I mean? That's like us sitting here having a top 10 hip hop albums discussion. And even though we're a hip hop platform and they're really not, top 10 hip hop album discussion, and we have an album at number 2 that we didn't even do a damn show on. How? It's crazy. 007. Shout out to 007 here with the super chat. He said Big Sean took shots at 21 on the track. What do you say? Missed
I
that.
mean, were those 21 shots? Okay.
Mad Max with the super chat says Big Sean deserves his flowers. He never made a classic. And he got some cringe lines. But when he gets in his bag, Sean's one of the best. I will give him that, man. Sean can catch you on a record. You know, when Drake is on a record with Sean, you can hear the competition. Both of those guys kind of, I don't want to say bring out the best in each other in a sense, but you could tell they're very competitive when they're on the tracks together because they know that, this guy can spit. Darren Harris with the super chat says, it's almost dry and Liz too are in my top 5. Hope Pusha upsets Kendrick for Grammy rap album and Coop. Lil Kim's Queen Bitch could give Lost Ones a run for the best female mic performance. He said a lot.
I've said that, and then you referenced that it's a reference that has a reference to it, and so
There's
that's the
a
only
reference
reason I
track
say
out.
that because I brought up Queen Bitch before as like I'm like, well, what about Kim on QB? And you was the one that's like, no, that's a Biggie reference track. I was like, show me that, Michael.
It's
and
on
you
YouTube,
like,
yeah.
And you were like, here, nigga. I was like, oh.
Yeah, there's a Biggie reference track out there for that.
Yeah.
What I will say about It's Almost Dry at the Grammys, I think it's going to win the best rap album. I think they're going to give Kendrick other Grammys. He's nominated for 8, but I think as far as best rap album, I think they're going to give that to Push. Because what I'm seeing a pattern here. He's been saying album of the year, album of the year, album of the year. Well, Rolling Stone just gave it number 1. And I think that it's one of those King of the South things. You know what I mean? Like, just going to keep saying it, and then, it's going to happen. But it's not the best album this year. It's in the top 10, though.
It's just not. I was going to say, is that Sim's album better than this Ab-Soul? Because I think so.
You think so?
I do.
Okay. I mean, I like the Lil Sims album.
I
think I need to listen to those, beside each other. But
we should listen to those this weekend and come back with some discourse.
Yeah, on Wednesday. Man with the super chat says, did y'all hear the new terminology in Paul Wall? CL Smooth song, fire. Rolling Stone has never been about real hip hop. Nas did Still Shine and 30 years in. I need to listen to that terminology, Paul Wall and CL Smooth. I got to check that out. Y'all know how I feel about CL.
Like, not the one that they did earlier this year.
Sounds like it might be a new one because I don't think CL Smooth's on the other album. CL Smooth might be the most underrated rapper ever. It's between him and MJG for me. Shout out to MJG.
MJ.
Pimp Tank. Yo, he killed it at that versus.
He did. Took over.
All right, I have these categories written down. Do you want to go to this Alchemist thing or do you want to have this categories conversation?
I want to talk about the Alchemist right quick because I don't think it's going to take us too long to cover it. But we always
Alchemist
say that
dropped Alchemist Sandwich.
Anyway.
Alchemist dropped Alchemist Sandwich. What were your thoughts?
When I got done listening to it, I laughed and I said to myself, never before, I think, has there been a year or it's been a long time that I can think of where there are so many compilation albums that are worthy. Because I'm going to be honest with you.
I had that as a category too.
If we were just sectioning it off and like including compilation albums in our top 20 list, then I think there are like 5 or 6 albums that actually should be. And this would be one of them. It's going to be a tough decision to see who has like the best compilation this year. Because we got the Alchemist. We got the Metro Boomin. What's the one from earlier this year?
Well, I thought you were going to talk about the
Dreamville,
the Griselda one, yeah, Dreamville,
the BSF,
yeah,
the Long Live DJ, the Long Live DJ Shay.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it, the DJ Shay, the Dreamville, the Alchemist, the Metro. Like there's all sorts of like collaborative stuff going out here this year that's been great. This is another one of those efforts. What's your favorite song on here? You usually ask me first.
Man, off top, I'm going with Judas, man. That kind of set that shit off, man.
I mean, okay, so Conway's verse, I was like,
yeah. I'm listening to it like, whoa, man, these guys coming with it like this on a compilation album. Like, yeah. You know, I always like West Side and Conway together anyway. They're such an odd pairing in many ways to
Well, they're
me.
brothers.
Yeah, just based on their approach. But you hear the chemistry, man. It's
Yeah.
very, rest in peace. It's very Quavo Takeoff-ish. Very different styles per se, but they just mesh, man.
Definitely Stockton and Malone with it.
Yeah.
Definitely Stockton and Malone with it.
Yeah.
Straight like that. Stockton and Malone. That's what I hear. Because Westside's always setting him up, and he just takes the ball and delivers in the paint. And this record is one of those records. When I heard it, it made my face scrunch up like the way Prodigy used to make my face scrunch up. That's why I love Conway. I think this might be his best verse this year and a verse of the year contender.
I'm with that. That song really stood out to me.
But I will tell you that actually, I think I am with you. I think Judas might be my favorite record on here, too. I was actually thinking the Mac 10 Wounds with him just by himself, the Conway record.
You know, another pairing that I liked that I didn't know that I wanted to hear, but even when I saw it on the track list before I pressed play, I was like, this is interesting. Styles P and Benny.
It sounded good.
It did.
I was thinking about picking that song. That's why I was like, Massacre is dope, but Judas, you're right. Westside and Conway got that chemistry, and Conway just smashed it up.
I mean, Rock
But the
Marciano and
Massacre,
Black Thought together. That's a
that
dream
shit dope.
collabo right there.
No, that shit was dope. The Roman Candles. That's what I mean. So I think you named my favorite joints, which is Judas, Massacre, and Roman Candles. Like Rock Marciano and Black Thought.
Shit crazy. And Rock Marciano rapped like Black Thought was on the record too.
Right. No. I was like, A1, huh? A1.
I think
This
Black
nigga ain't about
Thought
to do
might
me on
be.
Alchemist beat.
I think
Can I
Black
say
Thought
something
might
right
be the
quick?
most intimidating MC ever. Go ahead, yeah.
What did you say?
I
Say that
think
again.
Black Thought might be the most intimidating MC ever. Like people
Oh,
know
yeah.
if he's on a song, I
Yeah.
really gotta rap. I know people like to, and I'm not trying to, rehash anything. People like to think those type of notions when it comes to Eminem or something. It's not. It's really like that when Black Thought's on the record, and no one says anything about it. But when Black Thought's on the record, you have to bring your A game. You have to.
How about this? The way Benny rapping on Crowns for Kings, I don't know if he rapped like that since, because you want to know why? You knew it was coming up. You knew it was coming.
Everybody knows.
Everybody knows.
You're not gonna come with an
right?
average verse with Black
coming, right?
Thoughts in the room.
You understand what's about to happen, right?
Yeah.
You hear him on No Fear of Time, right?
Yeah.
Like you see they tried, right?
Now that's what I will say about the conscious community or backpack community. They've been used to sparring with him over the decades.
Oh yeah.
And so it's been an everyday
most
thing
of
for
don't
them.
have a problem. But understand there was a time where like that Mos and Thought thing was like comparable. Oh no, you hear it now. It's like no.
As a Mos Def fan, it hurts me to say, but you're right.
You know it's true. You know it's true.
And Mos is one of the most talented MCs I've ever heard.
Like the second best verse on the No Fear of Time ain't Mos verse on Yonders to me. It might be Thought's verse. Talib got the best verse. And then it's between Yonders and Thought's verse. Like Thought can just come on an album with Mos and Talib is rapping and he's Thought.
Yeah.
Well,
what were you gonna say before I got on that tirade? And I want to say more about Thought. I don't want you to lose your train of thought.
My train of thought was about Thought as well, as in I want to hear more beats like this on his next project.
Well, there you go.
Was that your thought?
Well, I wasn't gonna say that. I was just gonna.
I'm gonna say it.
I was just going to double down on the fact that when him and Method Man, one of the greatest lyricists and MCs of all time, was on Sway, and they both were rhyming, you could see visibly people understand this guy is somewhere else, and you have to. Method Man didn't even want to rap. He said that. He was like, man, I don't know if I got anything, whatever. He pulled out his phone and had something because he's Method Man. He's in a room with Black Thought. You got to perform for the people. But you understand, and I think he gave Black Thought his props right there in the moment. I got to give it to the conscious community. They've had to spar with this guy for decades. And I think Black Thought's just now being opened up to those MCs that we've always, put at a at the high echelon, nice end on the mainstream level. They're finally having to rap with this guy, and when he's on the track, everybody's bringing their A+ game. He don't even have to bring his A game. His B game is everybody else's A game.
I'm gonna say he just has to bring his game.
He just has to be Black Thought, and he is
He has to
Black
bring his
Thought in
game.
every given moment. Like, as consistent as Jadakiss or somebody like that is, and as stellar as Jadakiss has been over a span of time, Black Thought is that on a bumped up lyrical level.
And he's been doing it longer.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And he has
Black
the songs that Jada doesn't have. I mean, it's
he's got arguably the dopest rap name ever too. His name's Black Thought.
Ernest Thompson with the super chat says, what is it? How do y'all feel about Aesop and Lupe's track? Very, very lyrical. And we were supposed to talk about that last week. I think it's very, very lyrical. I don't know how palatable it is, but from a textbook standpoint, and I think we did slightly talk about it a little bit last week. I think he made it for his class. Like, he's a college professor teaching rap theory at MIT, and I think this is the perfect type of song to come out with while you're teaching a course on that. I'm sure that they could go, weeks on end with all the bar work that was done on there.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely going to be used for his classroom setting.